become bigger. Drivers want to be very careful so that they don't break some parts of their car. Others don't want their cars to be muddy before they get to the offices. There is nuisance on the roads because some of the drivers want to cut corners, and the whole situation becomes very chaotic. I left home around 4 a.m. and even at that time, there was some traffic on some sections of the roads in Accra I used just because people want to avoid the rush between 7 and 8. And I'm sure you also know that the Ghana Highway Authority has issued an advice that if you use the N1 highway, that's from the Kaswa end towards the motorway, that's the Kwaje interchange, between 11 and 5 p.m., sections of a section of that stretch around the Fiesta Royal Hotel will be closed. GridCo will be finishing some engineering work on that stretch. And we all know the traffic build-up in that area is quite huge. I'm told that's the Tetekwashi interchange. I made reference to Akwaje. Akwaje is actually around the police headquarters area. So those who know Accra better would be raising eyebrows, the Accra is saying. But if you apply the N1 highway, I will advise, because it's raining, so there'll be traffic on the roads. If you know Accra very well, then don't worry yourself using the N1 highway. Use other adjoining routes to the central business district of Accra, because I can imagine those from Achimota, those from all those areas from Takrady, you go through the traffic around Buduburam area, you get to Accra, there's a 6-lane highway, and you come across traffic. The authorities have told us there'll be directional signs on the road. Look out for them, and let's help GridCo to finish their work in time. Today, we'll be having conversations on lots of things. I was elated when I saw a private member's bill tabled before Parliament, and it's in the name of the MP for Madina, Francis Sosu. All of us know him as a human rights lawyer, and he has been accomplished in that area. He's respected a lot, and he's demonstrating that, yes, I'm a human rights lawyer. The people of Madina have voted for me. I want to make an impact on the public. And that impact is very simple. The impact is that we are all worried about these arbitrary arrests and so on. I'm coughing, so I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll tell you more.
We are one-man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always brave, fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
You still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. This is TV XYZ. For those following us on social media, go to Facebook or YouTube. Just like us and keep sharing so that a lot of people can also be part of this family. And of course, Xyz TV also is part of what we do. And so look for Xyz TV on Facebook and then share the links, and let's all enjoy conversations on daily basis, Mondays to Fridays, 6:30 to 9 o'clock. And the program is Morning Update on TV XYZ. Before I went for the break, because I was choking, I was talking about lawyer Francis Sosu and what he called the Compensation Act. I just want to read what is in that act. The human rights lawyer, among other things, is seeking a formula for calculating compensation units on hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, as well as details on circumstances under which a particular compensation must be paid. But the bill, if passed, or whatever he's seeking, is actually against malicious prosecutions, arbitrary arrests, detentions, wrongful convictions, among other things. All of us are aware that there have been rumors from time to time that maybe national security or the police will arrest somebody. They'll be playing hide and seek with their suspect, and those lawyers or ordinary Ghanaians trying to find out where those suspects are will keep on moving from national security outfit to the police headquarters, to Nima police station, to the central police station, looking for a suspect. Lawyer Sosu says when these people are arrested and their rights are abused, sometimes when they are released and case die, they will keep you 2 days, 3 days, frustrate you, and after that, case die. Nobody is actually able to take them up. Nobody sues them. He is looking for a compensation act. It will serve as a deterrent and the so-called abuse. Sometimes you go to the police or you go to national security, and some informants among them will tell you, Master, as some way they order from above, and I dictate, and you see that even when people are supposed to be granted bail, you see officers making one call to the other, moving from one end to the other, and you keep waiting, sometimes 5 hours, 6 hours. I have been there before. I have not been there as a suspect, but I have been there as an interested party in some of these things. And sometimes one simple bail term that you have served, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, you'll be sitting at the police CID headquarters just waiting for nothing. After that, and this is what lawyer Sosu is trying to seek. I want to speak to him this morning to explain to us what is motivating his action. We know he filed it on the 1st of June thereabout this year, and his own expectations. And this morning, we also know that the Ghana Health Service is trying to allay fears. There's a new strain of COVID. We are told it is very deadly. I just want to be specific. This one is called the Delta variant. And according to the information we have, some cases have been recorded at the Kotoka International Airport. Yesterday, we had one, but the Ghana Health Service is saying about 6. All of us know how India suffered to the extent that the whole world had to rally to mobilize vaccines to protect the thousands of people who were dying on daily basis. And these are the issues that are at the table we'll be talking about. And we know 41 students in Greater Accra have contracted COVID-19. These are SHS students. But I talked about Francis Sosu, the MP for Medina, a respected human rights lawyer. He's on the line. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Eric, and good morning to yourself.
Yes, I'm sure you are enjoying your role as an MP because you have begun to make an impact. I remember Mother's Day, I saw you sitting by an old lady. I don't know whether she's your mother, and you were helping to cook the usual angunafwe diane. How was the experience like?
Oh, well, it was a great experience. Well, that was my mother that I was sitting with, and it was such an awesome experience just being back with her. I've always believed that it's okay to be ordinary. There is nothing strange about being ordinary and just going back to, the village and be with the old lady. So it was such an awesome experience on Mother's Day.
We are good friends, and I know you are very humble. I saw that humility in the statement you made before a church, telling your story and what influences you to reach out to the disadvantaged. And in this case, because you are a lawyer, you fight for the rights of many. I've been at the police headquarters severally with you. We've gone through frustrations trying to secure bail for suspects here and there. But the good thing is that you are taking it forward with that impact in Parliament as an MP. And we know about the Private Members Bill, what has been captured as Compensations Act. Walk us through it. What really influenced that, and what is in there for any ordinary Ghanaian?
I would start by saying that I'm sure my own experiences and with the practice is part of what has influenced that. And also what is the best practice, all the world over. In the first place, when you come to Ghana, we have our penalty units, which are captured as part of our criminal and other offences procedure act, which is Act 30, where we define sentences with offences. So if a person commits a particular offence, you can be sentenced to 100 penalty units, 1,000 penalty units, which define the amount of fine you need to pay when you go wrong. However, I have observed over the years that people who are wronged by the state, we do not have any clear cut provision for them when it comes to the law. I was part of Justice for All program. I dare say I represented over 800 inmates, some of whom were released, some of whom were discharged, and none of them ever had any
form of compensation,
and nobody really did. They didn't have any benefit. And I'm sure prison authorities and people who were involved in Justice for program will tell you sometimes when some of those people are discharged, even the money to take her from the prison to their homes is a problem. And we are also aware of what happens where if you are rich, you can just get a police officer, pay some money, they will get your adversary and go and lock him. And whether you did something or you didn't do anything is neither here nor there. They lock you for 2 days, 3 days, and then they will then release you.
And sometimes they time this around the weekend.
Oh, yes. And then when they decide, then they will leave you. If they decide, they will not leave you. And we also know about how sometimes politically, in the name of politics, some of those things happen where police officers, security officials may say you have been invited or you have been picked, and they don't have any basis. Sometimes they are starting with money laundering, they are coming to offensive conduct, because they don't have anything. There's no basis whatsoever for the said arrest. And I believe that if we want to create a fair and equitable society, then our laws must reflect what we want to see in society. Okay, so and that is the reason why
you put in the private members bill.
Introduce the private members bill.
All right, lawyer, it's 7 o'clock. We normally take our news at 7, but I'll stay on with you for another 3 minutes so that you can then help us to understand this bill, what is in it, and your expectations in Parliament.
What is in it is a proposal for us to draft various provisions, which we have rather started to, one, define what is unlawful arrest, define unlawful detention, define wrongful convictions, define the circumstances under which these activities can take place, and then also prescribe specific compensations unit where we can determine if it is more than a day in detention, then you have a daily rate that will be used to calculate what should be the compensation. If it is less than a day, then you have hourly rates that will be used to calculate the compensation. And then also the officers or the state actors who are in charge or who contributed to the said violation, they can be charged for causing that financial loss to the state. And then also we are defining the limit, how a person can benefit from the law so that they will not be disadvantaged by virtue of technicalities and things like that. So for me, it's just the starting point. It's been referred to the drafting session and we are working together on it. We are sure that very soon we'll come up with a blueprint that will specifically look at the real law. Then it will be referred to the House for consideration, and then we would see how it ends. But I'm positive that
Okay.
this should definitely
I can
come our way.
imagine that the drafting will include possible sanctions against officers who allow themselves to be used for such abuses. But to wrap it up, we know about the Right to Information Bill, which is now a law. We know the Mental Health Bill, which is now a law. Some of them took 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Are you lobbying your colleague MPs to ensure that we don't see this deliberate action by your own members to allow this to delay in the name of consultations and drafting so that we don't see it come to pass as early as possible?
Yeah, I think that already a number of our members from both sides have been very excited about the possibility of a Compensations Act. They all understand what this means to the nation. This has nothing to do with any political divide. It's just a piece of legislation that would help all of us as a people and sanitize this piece to avoid the needless interference and the needless arrest and that goes on from time to time. So I'm confident that both sides of the divide will come together to make sure that this piece of legislation passes sooner than later.
Thank you very much. MP for Madina, human rights lawyer, respected. You're already making an impact on society. God bless you. Right, so I spoke to Lawyer Susu, who is the MP for Madina. I've eaten into wisdom, Hedejome's time. But all our discussion still borders on what Wisdom is coming to share with you. And so I'll take a break. Wisdom will take over in his suit. The weather is cold, but he would warm your heart with something exciting to inform you.
If I cry na menyisika, etia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, ni ye bosia ato taxi foforo. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuokuro bosia, susu account, and it also wɔ hɔ savings account, me bada chain savings account, and the keka ho. Press Suhum Rural Bank was 03422919896. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
And coming up in this bulletin, Ghana at serious risk of COVID-19 crisis as it records most contagious, deadly Indian strain impervious to Sputnik V AstraZeneca vaccines. Proposed Compensation Act by Madina MP to curb arbitrary arrest and detention received widespread commendation even before Parliament considers it by its actions. And WAEC replies, Africa Education Watch describing damning expose on alleged organized leakages as misleading, and a little later, 1 week observation of police officer killed in the Bullion van attack last week slated for this Saturday. All this and more coming up in this bulletin. Many thanks for your company and grateful that you could join us. My name is Westom Hedejime. Let's begin the stories from the camp of Parliament, because human rights lawyer and MP for Madina, Xyz Susu, has received thumbs up for sustained commitment towards the fight against human rights abuse. Now, a section of the public say they can't wait for Parliament scrutiny and eventual passage of the private members' bill intended to end arbitrary arrest and detentions. We shall hear from some of them first, but here details of the private members' bill filed by the MP for Madina, Xyz Susu.
Francis Susu is proposing that the Compensation Act will clearly define what amounts to wrongful arrest, unlawful detention, malicious prosecution, and wrongful conviction. The human rights lawyer in his motion is requesting that the law should also provide a formula for calculating compensation units on an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, as well as clear details on circumstances under which a particular compensation must apply as against the already defined areas of compensation. His concern comes in the wake of arbitrary arrests, denial of bail in spite of the Supreme Court directives on the right to bail, penchant for hiding suspects, denying them access to their lawyers for political interest, and what some describe as general abuse by the police and national security operatives on the so-called order from above. Lawyer Sosu also believes the private members' bill on compensation for unlawful arrests, detention, and convention, if passed, will cure the mischief of abuses by security service persons and the general injustice meted out to Ghanaians. Mr. Sosu argues that in the absence of any clear legal basis of computation of compensation, the courts and in most cases judges are left to exercise their discretion, which in most cases have pleased the state rather than persons wrongfully convicted, detained, or arrested.
The cross-section of the public believes the most MPs who support this bill, but their prayer is against the delays, like how the RTI and the mental health bill was then delayed.
Arrest you then, like they just put you aside for so many years or for so many months. You are not doing anything, then you come out with, and it's like a wrong listing. It's a painful thing. So if they compensate you, if they pay you something for that wrong arrest, is very good. It's a very good idea.
Before you arrest someone for something, you should investigate very well and know that what they are accusing the person of is true or not. So when it comes to compensation, it's very good.
One nibino, a man for to me the omufasa so. Na me amijina hey me example. Say nya me na ya do na me defend me ho a. Enke ye de me tum ni nyina ne say me se obi a committee some act bi. A che say sa act no ye no. Ye hwe nipa no ni body language ni bibia o ne me ye pe. Nti nia o ka no me jitum.
Yes, police actually say ubi. When you know yourself. Anyways, let's move on to some other stories. And Ghana, it's confirmed that Ghana's COVID-19 cases, which recently saw a sustained nosedive, is now on a reverse. Now, 41 senior high school students in the Greater Accra region have contracted the disease. Now, news about the first confirmed cases of the highly contagious Indian strain is feeling fierce, especially because of the report that it is resistant against the Sputnik V and AstraZeneca vaccines.
Mention of the deadly Indian strain comes amidst concerns about government inability to give clear timelines on imports and mass vaccinations. According to head of the West African Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens at the University of Ghana, Professor Gordon Awendari, the strain is the most contagious COVID-19 variant. It is one of the 45 variants currently in Ghana. Sputnik V, AstraZeneca vaccines are reportedly not effective against it. This means the less than 3% of Ghana's adult population who have been fully vaccinated are equally exposed. Experts fear Ghana could be hit by a crisis if immediate steps are not taken to immediately enforce COVID-19 preventive protocols. The Indian strain caused huge spikes in India.
Now, we'll still stay with that strain of virus because the Ghana Health Service has rejected claims that the vaccines procured by Ghana are not potent against the new Delta variant of the novel coronavirus. Now, according to a statement signed by the Director General, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje, the assertion about the new strain, which now has been recorded in Ghana, is not backed by data. Now, describing the claim as false, the June 22 communique referred to the Public Health England that PHE, as saying that, quote, 2 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines are highly effective against hospitalization due to Delta variant and showed no death among those vaccinated. And that's what the Ghana Health Service is saying. I'm sure Eric will give you more details when he joins later. Well, let's turn attention to some other stories. And this time, the Ghana Water Company has initiated plans to improve efficiency in its supply and billing nationwide. Now, the initiative forms part of a broad scheme to cut waste through infrastructure upgrade. Major challenges facing the Ghana Water Company, which currently operates 88 urban supply systems throughout the country, is revenue losses. Over the last few years, GWCL has embarked on an ambitious program, including establishment of a telemetry system for Accra water supply system, installation of smart ultrasonic meters for consumers, deployed a cloud-based billing and payment system, and is in the process of fully installing a cybersecurity infrastructure as part of expansion program. The automated metering bench, with which was launched yesterday, will facilitate access to live update from GWCS regional stations. Director in charge of water revenue, Engineer Maxwell Akosa, strongly believes the project is another bold step towards blocking leakages.
The fact that we want to be able to digitize commercial operations and allow customers to be able to pay their water bills through electronic channels. There is geographic information systems, and that also, once I leave here, my other colleague is going to take you through one of the main achievements that we have attained as a company under GIS. And then there is smart metering, where now we are able to pick consumer metering, the readings that are on it, it's transmitted directly to us remotely, so that our meter readers are not coming to your homes. They rather move through the community, and we are able to get the reading. So this is just a summary of all the things, or some of the things that we've been doing to tackle the non-revenue water problem, the trend that I showed.
GWCSS systems being introduced are yielding positive results. Revenue losses, for example, have been reduced significantly from 54 to 38% over the last 4 years. Managing Director of GWCL, Engineer Dr. Clifford Abdullah Ibrahim, however, says the company is not resting and will continue to improve operations and service delivery.
The overall vision of Ghana Water Company, which is to make Ghana Water Company a world-class utility company. You cannot have a world-class utility company without technology. I can say that as of 2017, the non-revenue was about 54%. And from 54%, bringing it to 38% by April 2021 means that as Ghanaians, we have the capacity to resolve our own problems.
Few challenges still threatening the profitability of GWCL's operation include environmental pollution due to illegal mining and farming, the high cost of energy, and water theft. Now let's turn attention to the camp of the president, because Nana Akufo-Addo is currently on a 2-day tour of the Northeast region, inspected ongoing work on the watermelon and rice factory at Wale Wale, the hometown of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The 36 million cedi Champion Food and Beverages Limited is a wholly owned Ghanaian beverage manufacturing, distribution and marketing company. Now, the project, which is 90% complete, is expected to start full operation in March 2022. Now, the president also visited the Tamana Company Limited, a rice farming and processing company located at Nasia near Wale Wale. The project captured under the One District, One Factory initiative can produce 50 metric tons of rice per day. Now, let's hear President Akufo-Addo will also use the occasion to sensitize the public on the impending census.
The census, so that we have a clear idea of the numbers of people and the breakdown of those numbers to enable the central, regional, and local governments to be able to plan effectively the development of the country. We should have had the census last year, because the last census was in 2010, and every 10 years meant it should have been done in 2020. But because of this awful COVID, it was postponed till this year. So I'm appealing to each one of you, to the chiefs, everybody, I say everybody, without discrimination, everybody should allow themselves to be counted. Whatever your tribe, wherever your tribe, so long as you are here on the 27th census night, get counted.
Now, if you apply the N1 highway, which is the major stretch linking to Kaswa and part of the motorway, you should be looking out for road signs or an escape routes, because from 11 a.m. today to 5 p.m., the Ghana Highway Authority says there will be a partial closure of that road for grid-code works to commence.
Partial closure, according to the Ghana Highway Authority, will take place between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. each day. That's today and tomorrow. It is to reduce vehicular traffic, especially around the Fiesta Royal Hotel stretch, to pave way for the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, to complete stringing works involving the removal of a section of the existing power line which traverses the N1 highway. The disruption is expected to offload the usual heavy traffic to adjoining highways, especially the stretch through the police depot towards the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and the Jowolo Enclave. The statement urged motorists to follow traffic diversion signs to be placed at various sections on the N1 highway to reduce stress. In Accra, the 14-kilometer section of N1 starts from the Malam Junction and expands into a 6-lane that connects the Accra-Tema motorway. The stretch has in recent times been known for heavy vehicular movement from Cape Coast and Kumasi and adjoining communities in Accra through the Flao and Ho Highway to the east and Cape Coast and Takrady highways to the west.
Let's talk education now, because WAEC has officially responded to the Africa Education Watch, which recently released a damning report on widespread leakages through a well-coordinated network. Now, the examining body described the assessment report as misleading and is considering a court action. We shall hear WAEC shortly, but this is what Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, said influenced their investigations.
Something unprecedented happened last year, and that should be a wake-up call for all of us who may have taken for granted pockets of reports of malpractices, exam leakage, all this while, to begin to look at our assessment system and how we can collectively set an agenda to review the system and strengthen its efficiency.
But WAEC Head of Public Relations or Public Affairs, Agnes Tekujo, says that EduWatch failed to consult them or seek their permission, and insisting that the EduWatch has fed the public with wrong information. Now, she also questioned aspects of the methodology used by EduWatch, raising concerns about fairness.
The methodology used. Aspects of the methodology that EduWatch used raise issues of credibility and fairness. The Council is baffled at the fact that although it is a subject report, EduWatch did not engage the Council in order to get informed about what its processes and procedures are before coming to its conclusions, making its recommendations. The report that is on page 3 of the report, the identities of informants are withheld and subject to non-disclosure.
WAEC also denies holding result of 60,000 candidates. Now, it also said it had invited and initiated investigations into allegations of mass leakages, and said WAEC's monitoring of marking process did not indicate any discrepancies or irregularities. Now, she also said WAEC still stands by its August 19, 2020 press statement that indicated that several fake versions of questions, including those of Integrated Science 2 and 1, Social Studies 2 and 1, Chemistry 3, Practicals Alternative A, and Economics 1 and 2 papers were shared on social media platforms. And just before we go, now the police expected to join the family of the police officer killed by robbers during a bullion van attack, which happened last week. Now, his 1 week commemoration, or 1 week observation, I should say, will be held together this Saturday. A one-week observation poster cited by Xyz News. The event shall take place this Saturday at the Zion School Park at Kaswa off the Adade Road. The event, according to internal sources, will be heavily attended by personnel of the Ghana Police Service and smaller delegation on behalf of the IGP. The late Constable Emmanuel Osei, who was with a SWAT unit, was gunned down on Monday, June 14, in broad daylight while he was on escort duty. He was reportedly shot at close range by armed robbers who absconded with his AK-47 service rifle and an undisclosed amount. No key suspect has so far been picked up, but the incident, which has provoked the police, has led to arrest of over 200 suspected criminals and series of swoops in parts of Accra. Well, may the souls of the departed rest in peace, and we shall be there Saturday to give you some feed as and how it happens. And that'll be it for this morning's edition of News in Brief. As always, do log on to my xyzonline.com. Also, like our social media handles, TVXYZ Ghana. My name is Westrom Hedejime. You have a pleasant morning.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always brave, fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
Still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many hours.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadrum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. AutoChecks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
I love makeup. Applying it gives me so much joy. But when it's time to take it off, nothing does the job quite like the Black Secret Makeup Wipes. When I go somewhere and I feel really sweaty, I take my Black Secret wipe and I use it on my face. It picks me up and I don't look as tired as I did when I walked in.
Before I work on a client's face, I like to go over it with Black Secret makeup wipes to make sure the face is clean. It doesn't leave the face dry and tight, but it keeps it soft and moisturized.
Wipe say your bodo. Bakope, and it gets the job done. Or baby, and the smell makes the experience even better.
You count, so it gets counted. Every nation or institution with correct data is able to provide timely intervention. This is what the country is doing. The population and housing census has started yesterday. We did mention, one of the newspapers covered that about 8 million people have been counted so far. I won't be talking too much. I have Dr. Peter Techi-Pepra. He's the director for the Field Operations 2021 Population and Housing Census. He will be taking us through the journey so far. Good morning, sir, and thank you for coming.
Morning.
Okay, so let's start the conversation from the beginning. When we say population and housing census, what does it entail?
All right, thank you very much, Nanabana. Population and housing census is basically counting of the population.
Mm-hmm.
And as you are aware, we live in houses.
Yeah.
So we are also trying to capture information about where we live,
mm-hmm.
which is the housing part.
Right.
But we've moved a step further to collect information on all structures in Ghana. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we can determine the use of each structure. So you will hear that we are doing population and housing census, but currently we have field officers mm-hmm. doing something we call chalking.
Okay.
And then, as part of the chalking, they will take some particulars about the structures they are writing on. They take the address, they take the GPS coordinates, and then GPS address.
So the 8 million that has been reported, was it for the chalking?
The 8 million is for the chalking.
Okay.
That's the structures. Even as I speak to you now, the figure is gone up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the 8 million is the number of structures they have
right, chalked. Okay.
And listed.
Okay.
And within the structures where people live, we've also collected some basic information about the numbers in terms of the number of males, the number of females in these buildings. We also have, we have the population, the household population, more of residential type, and we have institutional population. That's more of maybe schools, hospitals, and we also have another category we call the floating population. Usually it comprises of outdoor sleepers, those who sleep outside
I was going to come
or
to that.
around buildings. We capture them. It's basically a total count of the population. So we are first of all trying to identify the locations of all these people. Then from 27th, we'll take detailed information about them.
Okay. How ready is the institution at this point for the 2021 counting?
In terms of readiness, we are ready. As I narrated, field work has already started.
How many field workers so far?
We have about 66,000 people on the field.
66,000. Is there a timetable? And I ask this because I haven't been counted and I don't know when. And because I leave the house every day, I don't know when to be in the house or when not to be in the house. Or as you indicated, there are institution counting. So how does this work?
Yes. In the first place, we dedicated 13th up to 13 plus 7 is what? 20? Yeah. For the listening exercise. However, areas that we've not finished, we still have officers on the field working.
Right.
So where you are, if chalking has not been done, it means they've not got there yet. If you see the chalking, for listening exercise, we allow proxy gathering of information. So if someone is in the house, the person can give some basic information about your household. Beside that, they have a card we call callback card. That they leave at home upon several attempts to reach you. If they are not getting you, they will leave it at your place with their contact, so that anytime you get home, you can call the number, speak to them, and arrange so that they come and carry out the exercise.
Okay. Now, we've heard of a lot of crimes in our society. Claiming to be from ECG or from the GSS. How do you identify the official? What do you look out for?
All right, thank you. Our field officers are using reflective jackets, blue in color. Yeah. They also have ID cards. Let me, in the form of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a particular thing on the ID card that you should look out for?
Yes, we have Ghana's 2021 population and housing census on it.
Okay, could you please point it to the camera?
We have the coat of arms, we have statistical service logo, and we have the census logo. We also have this KOR code. If you scan it, you can get details about the census. So the moment you get that one also is linked to statistical service that confirms that. Yeah. Aside this, assuming somebody comes and is not having an ID card, you can even ask for letter of introduction. Or he or she should call any of his or her colleagues working in the area to come around. And all of them will have all these. So at least if one or two have, it confirms that the people or that person is working in the census.
We are in COVID. I went to your website and I saw that I can fill in my name and a few details and say and pledge that I pledge that I will be counted. Why are we not using that as another form to get counted?
The questions we are asking are a lot. And some are a bit technical, of which if no one or someone who has been trained doesn't come and take you through, you may end up giving wrong information.
Right.
Yeah. It's true we are in COVID. Ghana also hasn't got to the level of which all of us, or majority of us, can just fill the form electronically and send.
But some can.
Some can, but in fact, in terms of proportion, they are very few.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe moving forward, we are talking about 2030, 2031, and beyond.
Why that far?
Census is done every 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. 2000, at least I was part of it. We use paper questionnaire.
Okay.
2010, we used paper questionnaire. This time around, we've moved to the use of tablets for data collection.
Okay.
So as we move along, I think we can.
We will get there.
If we do, because I remember US has been using postal approach,
right?
Where they post the questionnaires to you, you fill and send it back.
I saw something like that on Facebook a while back.
And some also fill it electronically. But at least in 2010, I witnessed their census. After applying that first stage, later they had to recruit more than 20,000 people to go and do the face-to-face one. Those who could not, or who, I don't know whether it was deliberate, but they didn't submit the form, so they had to get back to them, explain the concept very well to them for them to fill. So it calls for, I think, further education, awareness creation, but as you said, correct.
There's been some concerns about security breach when it comes to the census. I want us to listen to Dr. Zanato, and then we'll come back to the conversation.
Yes, census. One more call round. No, yes, one the tablet no call round. Let's just say digital. What are the infrastructure that we have in place to ensure say obi budget me information, me data no at the better digital platforms? So how are they protecting my information? Because titino oba na otro paper so unim say or the bekwa akoto safe mu ana wo mo tra baby am the beshe no eho a inti say obi a anko ho anko yi a nobody gets access to it. With this digital platform no information no ewo baby you can't even say specifically say enuni nanso obi was skills are obetimi dia hackers our computer na information no eni nyina ewo ho. So at this point in time, no, I will say it to me because we need this number of cybersecurity experts in Ghana. In school now, one more corner. We'll make sure say we'll go to the schools early. Yen sure one you're good at certain subjects no. Now yen monitor yen one more ebia one more for any sikam no. Then we sponsor those ones with the
Professor. Dr. Zanato talking with regards to the housing population and housing census. Her security concerns, which is a genuine one that we have to look at. So, what is your response to what she said? How secured is the platforms that you're using?
All right. First of all, let me assure her and the general public that the data is highly protected.
How?
Why am I saying that? As it was mentioned, is data about the entire population, you and I. So measures have been put in place. As she mentioned, we have the experts who have put in measures to ensure that information about you and me will not leak. And immediately the data is during the data collection that we take your name and your particulars, because for instance, if we get to your household and you're about 3, we are going to talk about each of you. It will be appropriate for me to pick your name, Nanabna, and run you through all the questions, and then come to Kwaku Pepra and run him through all the questions. Just after that, the moment the data is sent, it goes to a server. In analysis, we anonymize all the data. We don't even bring your name into anything. We use codes or numbers. Line be one a number. With this particular questionnaire, information about Nanabana, send Nanabana Dinsha. They will information. You put in measures, you better ensure say will be a information and quabontain that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have experts monitoring that.
Okay.
They are on the system 24/7.
Okay. But aside having monitors on it 24/7, have you made anybody try to hack into it? Because I know sometimes when it comes to software and these type of things, they try that before they say for sure that nobody can break into the system. Some
of these conversations sometimes are not general open, but all these things were tested. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the Census Night, which is happening on Sunday, 27th. What do you expect of the public?
All right. Let me explain what the Census Night is about first. Yakasa Census Night, I'm saying, because your questions be brave babies are from Sunday no ko. Now, some questions no, you be making reference to the Census Night. Inti even the basi ye bisa say wedding fear here. Ye bisa say seminoti hey. Maybe say wedding fear here. Obeka unfie na chere me. From Sunday 27th June. See about fear Wednesday and Thursday. Question about say me pacho as at Sunday 27th wedding fear here. Baby, I would die. That Census Night, you use no to say reference point. I see you trying where you were. Into question piano and only a day a better. You were questions about age, sex, marital status, literacy, education, economic activity. Juma away. And your questions we say, now what here. Chemu and Sana 27th June ebano. Uye Juma. Uye Juma questions not what was okay. Enti enon ye make uchimu because I ashen so die bia ye dear questions ni na no be related to.
Okay.
Na ebe na adofo akai. Yes yen hihye bi say 27th na ekwesi ada no ye be di agro bebre.
Okay.
Ebinum ebeye at the brass band befa krum.
Okay, entire party.
Obi be time party. Ye be ma fire service where you saw fire tenders no.
Okay.
Edia ye did kakra okruma man because enwumre wo ho na ate people. Ade chi and 2 days or even a week after. So me ba ho no bisa say that's idea we call so now we're here obekai.
Okay.
Yeah. Be in Krubi or na district be or fire national ambulance and so edi omodi no be de kakra man. Ya de ya yenyum bi census nyum bi ya and also omodi speakers be sika so de abo afa kruma anadwo no. Nti ye wo niema bibre ho a ya hihya be ma amanfo akai da no. Ebinum so mbe bobo knockout. I did an ajo. It's illegal, but it's something to create awareness. So we are not buying for them. Sunday, where they are going to get it, I don't know.
Okay.
Baby, I war titi. Sorry, don't know.
It's a Presbyterian Roman.
Very good. And also, that no. Yes, stress you rebel 8. If you 8 echo. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 every hour on the ball.
Okay.
I mean, also I ashen so DB. I'm a woman who say, Dano, and I will be said, that time na way. Yeah.
Okay.
And these are some of the things here. The bay near the Akai Census Night.
Okay.
Yet media questions not to only a bisani.
Okay. And on that night, what are you expecting from us?
A Jumano Sunkakra. Definitely, as I said, once the noise goes out, definitely people will come out.
To create the
awareness. Yeah. But we have certain group of people we will enumerate that night.
Okay.
For instance, those who will be found in the hospitals on admission will be enumerated.
Okay.
Those who will be found in hotels that night will also be enumerated.
Okay.
We call them unstable institutional population. Because omon tra honche.
Yeah.
Obi oha adiechina said the huatona ibe in every hospital. And I will be a hotel, be a na conference, be no about a day or two. And also unya no bio nti ye de nkrata bi forms no baako ye friend form 1E as kitwa bi ye de bekwa go hotel so nti obi oba bedo bi de be man no afele na che sade chia field officer na kwa koje in your group be from floating population.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those who are sleeping outside,
exactly.
Those who be on transit, and you be capture that night.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you are there, you really few more konga, and I say only from households no holding a kwakoye.
So, in terms of the floating population, how are you able to identify the places? I know some of the places, they are very visible, but if it is a mimi area, a whole corner, obi timi de ketato corner binawada, how do you identify these people?
Those, well, let me clarify that those we call floating population, they are more like they have permanent location outside.
Outside?
Yeah.
Say, market areas,
yeah. But and you'll be or shane them or showing or the ketabesa abontia that. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, on mo ye wajumano. I'm say a man who say 1 week Baba Pim saying now more. So as they are doing the chalking and the listing, they also identify location of outdoor sleepers, which has been captured on the tablet. So it will even populate for you to go there and ensure that you capture them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before you go, I can't not ask you about the challenges you have experienced so far or the challenges you anticipate you'll be experiencing.
The challenges, yeah, Obi Beka, you may be anywhere. Oh, yeah, challenges in him. It be in crackers, mono. To even meet the people, one challenge. I'm so can say we say we free fiano power kanajo.
Anajo,
Into field officer no ba we do we who say no more yabre. But we always encourage them to ensure say oma capture will be and we bako. It means a cooperation.
Okay.
Obi home beko akoto but ebia na onte census no she den hu fa so be brain into no. Aden na aba me ho aba bibisi bisa me nse. Ufre here aba bibisa me ho ase bode ekwahin.
Hostility.
And a third one so be ho na sometimes interview your skills. Obi ho be hostile at the beginning. But when you have treachery ni mo no tia you or she will receive you. Inti say you field officer and so you that skillful enough. We do we no bones and now a break a crack. And yeah, baby, I'll moye Juman and so name say, Ibn Mama who say a ho ebisuso. Emra ye demarcate country ye chichi more by 51,197.
Okay.
Your friend enumeration areas.
Okay.
Now, baby or what, Oberhena, a newly developed area. In Timre demarcation, na it has not grown that much. But as I speak to you now, it's grown very large. People are putting up struggling to be or started Jumana. No, I can say, hey, maybe I'm a Jumana.
So yeah.
So quickly we have to mobilize people from maybe or Jumana no Makwakoboa.
Okay.
Maybe one or two cases because we have to mobilize people from other adjoining districts to go and help.
Right.
So these are some of the challenges.
Yeah.
And then
you've experienced and anticipate.
Very good. At least we are putting in measures to ensure say it goes down a bit. From
Smoothly,
20.
Yeah.
We have something we call workload management. Into Omaye listing we are naka we've got a fair idea about how the workloads are in specific areas. Into maybe a heavy we need to reassign more people to go and help.
Exactly. Therefore, this morning I've been talking to Dr. Peter Teshi-Pepra concerning the housing census that has been ongoing. Apparently, they started with the chalking. Into Mr. Moa, say every time na almost share one-on-one na. Some of us, I am not able to sorry I'm too grumpy, and I say be obedient on all your frustrations. Almost bad. They are just working for the good of you and I. Let's take our time for them and let them also do their job. As I indicated earlier, a nation or an institution with good data is able to met out timely intervention. So please let's help them help us as well. My name, Nana Abnasawa, and this of course has been the social segment on the morning update. This show is always brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water, Simply Natural, and of course, Black Secrets Makeup. Erica Hiano is on standby.
Masa, tam Maria, I'm kind of coffee. I am no more budget born again. Why? Have a beer, you can be right. HD logo the bottom. Where they say HD local channels na mo and so pictures near clear. They are 5 times better. As other channels that could be show hormone. So go to mention when tram rock away. Oh, what the pictures. What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now Electroland 80 PR natural local channels now HD the years of better star 879 hash numbers from people box and now the advert 80 channels now.
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Feely promo. Promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
We told you our show is very flexible. We turn it around depending on the issues. And I enjoyed the conversation on the preparation towards Sunday, the census night. Everybody must be at home. Yesterday I was listening to President Akufo-Addo at Wale Wale, where he told the people that that exercise is very essential. Ghana Statistical Service needs it. National Development Planning Committee needs it. Your district assembly needs it. We all know that when the data is collected, we have issues with priority decisions where an assembly will say that, look, we now have a better appreciation of the demography of our district. We know what the people need. We know where the areas are actually deprived. And therefore, when we are allocating resources, instead of the capital of that district, which has relatively better facilities, if it's a small chips compound, let us send it to this community because we have so many people living in isolated enclaves within that community who need at least that chip compound. That is where we have always had problems regarding how we plan the use of our resources. But whether you like it or not, the information is very relevant. And so on Sunday, you must make yourself available. Census night. In fact, Ghana Statistical Service says that there will be a series of activities to keep the people active so that all of us participate. I will be there and make sure you are also there. What is also important as I listen to the conversation is the kind of information that Ghana Statistical Service will need from you. And so if you don't have it, now you have an idea about what they will be asking. Get that ready before they come so that you don't waste time. When they ask you, if you know, house number to say how many people are living in this house, pack, within 3-4 minutes, 10 minutes maximum, or maybe they are gone to another place so that they can make sure they gather as much information as possible. So delays bema na ayana ebiana bimu person mo cut corners na structure bi wo ha, then they will jump going for human beings. But I trust that Ghana Statistical Service will do the right thing. Kwesi Kwateng is a member of the NPP's National Communications Team. Kwesi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Kwesi, briefly, census night, it's just some days away. It's Sunday. Today is Wednesday. Briefly, what would you also share with the public by way of education? Okay,
very well, and a very good morning to you and your viewers. I think when it comes to census, is all of us owes a civic responsibility and a duty to actually cooperate with the state relative to the counting of the people. Because the last time I checked their website, and that is a Ghana Statistical Service, and they've outlined over 100 reasons why anybody should enroll in this exercise. And these are not just ordinary reasons, but very compelling reasons. You look at it from the economic sense of view, the social sense of view, the political wise, and at the end of the day, you're able to acknowledge that it is an exercise that we all have to join. Actually, it's a national exercise, and I mean, we encourage everybody to join, because these are documents, these are informations that are going to use to develop documents that successive governments, irrespective of who is in power, is going to use for our national conversation. And if you recall, recently there have been issues and conversations about whether or not even we should have a national development plan, or probably we should still stick to the way political parties come into office and have to push their own ideology and policies and ideas on the people of Ghana. And so, broadly, if you want to have some of these conversations, you have to have the key indicators, that is the people, their socioeconomic background, their political background, religious background, their gender and everything, so that you're able to actually look at developing some of these national development plans, and then you look at the scope and the content and situate it in the proper context as in the people that you are dealing with. And so it is something that we encourage
we should encourage everybody to deal with. So now let's look at some of the newspapers before we look at our topics for today. Daily Graphic on its front page says, couple sue Lekma Hospital, allege substandard care, but facility refutes the claim. And the university in the forest, Noost still greening. That's an exciting headline. I've been to Noost a couple of times, and it's one of the beautiful campuses we have as public universities in this country. The center spread of the Daily Graphic has a story capturing the president's tour of the Northeast region. He was in Upper East, he's in Northeast region. He was thanking the people. When I listened to one of the tips sent to us by the presidency, where he talks about the fact that the people did well by giving him 4 of the 6 seats in the region, and he's hoping that in 2024, the people of Northeast will give him the 2 more, so that NPP will dominate the Northeast region. The Ghanaian Times front page, fight against COVID-19, schools must stay resolute. That's one big story. But the banner headline here says, health alert, new COVID-19 variant in Ghana. GMA confirms very contagious Delta virus. So that's it on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. We have the digitization here to stay, embrace it. That's the Business and Financial Times. Experts spar over relevance of banks' legacy systems, but agree that transition must occur to keep pace of digitalization. So that's the Business and Financial Times. Then I have suspected coup plotters bomb can kill within 200-meter radius, court told. That's the big story on the front page. I see Mustafa Hamid also captured there. He's now the chief executive of the National Petroleum Authority. Daily Post, WAEC certificates likely to be rejected abroad, says Dr. Clement Apak. Is the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament. So that's the caution there. And Inquisitor on its front page says, procurement of COVID-19 vaccines, Ministry of Health in illegality. We see Delcy Dakon, Chief Executive, Delasi Dakon, or Mimi Dakon, let me put it this way, who's the Chief Executive of the Food and Drugs Authority, and the Health Minister captured with that headline. The Herald newspaper, fame-chasing Attorney General indicts his former boss and others as he runs away from $170 million judgment debt after sleeping on the job. That's the big story on the front page of the Herald newspaper. This morning, there's an issue that should bother you. That deadly Indian strain is in Ghana. Yesterday, we heard of one case. Ghana Health Service says actually there are about 6 cases that are being monitored. We are told it spreads fast. And it is coming at a time when health authorities are warning that if we joke, like the way things may have been handled when we recorded COVID for the first time, we could be in serious crisis. And they referred us to India because this is the Indian strain, which is said to be very deadly. You remember when COVID broke in this country, there were complaints at that time that closed our borders. close our airports. The COVID is in foreign countries, and those arriving may be the first to bring it. It took some time before that decision was taken. Obviously, government may have its own reasons, and COVID has come to stay with us, and we are managing it. We know at this stage that the COVID-19 restrictions are supposed to be enforced, but just go to Agbegloshi or go to the Central Business District of Accra or any populous part of this country, and you can draw your own conclusions. And so this is coming at a time when we all agree that all of us are not going by the advice of the president. And so how do we deal with this new strain, especially when earlier rumors said that the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Sputnik vaccines are not strong enough to fight this disease. But the Ghana Health Service has issued a counter statement just this morning that don't be afraid, because the AstraZeneca vaccines and the Sputnik 5 vaccines are actually strong enough. So if you have taken AstraZeneca, for example, continue to be careful, but don't be alarmed, overly alarmed by the earlier publication. Kwesi Kwarteng, how do you receive this news I've summarized before coming to you?
Eric, for me, this is a very worrying development. And it is worrying in the sense that some way, somehow, this COVID is now with us. And we must learn to live with it. Fortunately or unfortunately, you have aspects of our lives observing the protocols religiously. And at some point, we lose our guard. I think I recall when the early stages when we're confronted with this illness, and we're very religious in the observance of the protocols, that is the using of the mask, washing of our hands and other things. At some point, life had to reverse back to normal. And then the natural expectation was that if life is reverting back to normal, it reverts to a new normal, but not the old normal of ways that we used to. Unfortunately for us, we revert back to the old normal, and then we find ourselves in this situation. And so my first, or the preliminary comment that I will give, is that we should first continue to keep the protocols, observe the protocols and other things. But of course, I mean, if you look at the reality, the argument is, and it has, I mean, it's evident that when you look at our general performance and credibility with regards to the observance of the protocols, it's something that, I mean, we cannot write anything home about it. Because if you look at it, starting from political leaderships, religious leaders, and ordinary citizens, at any level, we've all lost our guard. And it boils back to what I was saying initially, that the relaxing of the measures was an invitation for us to revert to a life of new normal, but not a life of an old normal. But I mean, psychologically, you are constrained in a certain way. You've been programmed in a certain way. Wear masks, wash your hands, do this. And I don't they say that, okay, right now, you can relax on those measures. If you are not careful, there will be that temptation for you to believe that it's an invitation for you to go back to that old normal life. But to me, I felt that we could have started a life of new normal where we still keep to the observation of the protocols. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I think there is a larger problem that as a people will have to look at.
Why would you want us to ordinarily make it look like, as a people, when there are officials of state whose responsibility is to ensure that the right things are done? When the finance minister presented the budget before Parliament, and later, subsequently, conversations came around how much has been spent on COVID, we got the impression that over 19 billion, almost 21 billion cedis have been spent on COVID. COVID has had negative impact on the economy. So it looks as if government doesn't care because it can go and borrow money, or it can dip its hands in the state resources in the name of COVID, perhaps to its political advantage, without considering the very basic things the US, UK, etc. are doing, where they have made sure people are vaccinated before people are being allowed to gradually return to the new normal you are talking about. So people play.
You are just having, I mean, two sides of the conversation. So let's take it one step at a time. If you, I mean, your first question was with regards to the whole thing, the resting on leadership.
The first question is about leadership, yes. Because the cost involved.
Yeah, so I want
is
us
huge.
so I want us to take it one step at a time.
Okay.
We'll finish with the leadership, then we come into the angle of the economics of it and the borrowing and whatever. And so if you look at the leadership, yes, I agree, and admittedly, it all boils down to leadership. But then again, it still boils down to general performance and credibility on the observation of certain critical laws. If you recall, this is not the only law that, as a people, we fail to enforce it, probably to the utmost, how do you call it, expectation that we all want. And so if you look at laws, I mean, we can go into the archives and visit such laws. As I speak with you, we have sanitation laws. And sanitation is one of the challenges that we've had since independence. Would you make an argument that because they are laws, and so far as those laws are not enforced to the ultimate or leadership has failed, I do not think such an argument should be tenable. But what it means is that it's an acknowledgement that as a people, we need to do more when it comes to the enforcement of such laws. I think it was last week on this same platform where I made reference to a law like the GIPC Act, which requires that foreigners cannot do retail business in Ghana. What do we see? Almost every year we have Guta fighting and the foreigners also fighting back, and at the end the backlash and other things. And so even if you go to, say, road traffic, these are some of the laws that you could not observe. Because the last time I checked, between 92 till now, we've had an excess of 47,000 deaths on our roads alone. And these are the deaths that has been recorded. But there are laws also on road safety regulations and other things. Laws that the police are supposed to enforce, laws that citizens are supposed to obey. Yes, still, when you look at the general performance on these laws, they are not something that we can say that we are proud of. And so there has been that history of us as a people. There has been that orientation of us as a people where certain laws that we elect and observe certain laws. But of course, I agree, it all boils down to leadership. But I want us to, at the end of the day, acknowledge that it is a national problem, and not only a problem relative to, say, the COVID law, but the conversation can be broadened to even other existing laws, and the fact that as a people, we need to really observe. Because at the end, if you look at, I mean, you can borrow instances. Recently, the MPP had a funeral for Sir John's funeral. If you want to interrogate the details of that funeral, you had even the elements from all political device. The NDC party leadership were there, if you will recall. And so the question is that even if the MPP had failed to enforce those protocols, as the leadership of the NDC, they could have also observed it. See, I'm coming. Recently, the June 4th celebration, if you recall, the law now requires that the maximum people that can gather is around 25 or so. But there were more than that.
It's about 100.
It's about 100. Well, whichever way, there were some more than that. But the point I want to drive home about and religious leadership, if you recall, there was a law that banning, how do you call it, the organization of funerals and other things. Yes, so we had people, instead of organizing the funeral, they rather take the funeral, the body to churches.
You see, the reason why I am narrowing this conversation to ensure that there is some level of pressure on leadership to enforce laws is that there is widespread suspicion that Ghana Health Service is not painting the real picture on the ground with regards to the infections of COVID.
I want to admit that our general performance is poor.
I am narrowing down on that. You have space to. I just want to situate the question properly. This widespread suspicion is there. If you go to the website, originally, when you go to the website and you want information about the infection rates, the number of people dead and so on, it just greets you as you go there. We have had reports from health institutions that, look, people are getting infected on daily basis. That information is being managed differently, so when you go to the website, you don't get the real picture. As we speak, 41 students in Accra alone, SHS students, have contracted COVID. Contact tracing is going on.
How did you get that data?
That information was put out by the Ghana Health Service.
So how did you get data if you think that the Ghana Health Service is not reported?
So we are also told that 641 students have had it.
From source,
and
the sources.
You know that the leadership in this case involves Ghana Health Service, the District Assembly, the Ghana Police Service, government officials. How do you feel when you go to Agbogbloshi, when you go to the Central Business District of Accra, and we know COVID is spreading, and nobody cares, free for all. And at the end of the day, we use the state resources that could be used to develop your part of the country to manage it in the name of COVID. Eric. That is the concern.
Eric, you see, all over the world, initially, when the figures started, the COVID came and people, countries were counting. In China, there were over 80 million cases recorded. Today, I'm not sure that is the same story. Definitely, you have a reduction because of issues of herd immunity, vaccination, and other things. So all these factors will contribute. If you go to the US, over 500,000 lives were lost. Today, we are not recording such incidents. It does not negate the fact that COVID still exists. But what it means is that there are a lot of contributing factors or variables that affect our current situation now. And so observance of protocols, of course, we agree that protocols have not been observed to the maximum. But even in the peak of COVID, where we were afraid and still observing the protocols, we had higher cases. And so there to substantiate or sustain the argument that initially the numbers were high and now it is low, for that matter, somebody is concealing some form of information, is simplistic. Because if you want to even compare to all over the world, the United States, China, even some of these African countries, you realize that there is a pattern of statistics rather decreasing. And so it is not only peculiar to Ghana.
The decrease we all know.
Yes, so I'm saying that you have to look at other factors.
Because the adult population in many of these countries which are reporting lesser figures have been vaccinated either once or they have taken.
Yes, there are instances of herd immunity too. Yeah, herd immunity too. No, you also have instances of herd immunity too.
Are you suggesting that as a member of the MPP, a Ghanaian, you are satisfied with how the COVID restrictions have been left or being enforced as we speak?
I think, Eric, no, you see, we needed to settle the first aspect first. And the first aspect was about the concealment of the figures, which I explained to you that if you look at...
Which was tied to leadership.
Yes, which I admitted that it all boils down to leadership. And I also admitted that if you look at our general performance, if you recall, even our friends in the NDC started this COVID-19 team or something. What happened to it? Of course, they could have still maintained that if indeed they were interested in pushing the agenda. It also boils down to leadership there. And so it is a national fight that we all have to advance, a national cause. But I've made reference to our general performance on the enforcement of certain critical laws, including this one, and the fact that we need to hold a national conversation on how we react to some of these things. But, it still rests down on leadership. And then we came to the argument about this whole issue of concealment and the fact that if you look at the global picture, that argument cannot be sustained. Then you are taking me where? To the economics of it, or where again?
The general question we put there was tied.
Okay.
That if we relax the enforcement of the restrictions, COVID spreads. When it spreads, the state spends more money in managing COVID at a time when we need money to do other things. As we speak,
is actually the vice versa.
The restrictions are supposed to be enforced. It has virtually been
It's actually the vice versa, because if you look at the economics of it...
If we are receiving this deadly strain at this time, should it be a cause for worry?
No,
That's the import of all this
No,
conversation.
for the deadly strain, certainly, if you look at how the virus has been operating, it has no, acknowledgement of political coloration. And so, whether you are a journalist, whether I'm a political party communicator, or whoever, even recently, we heard of an incident of the finance minister catching the virus, and he has to, at some point, battle for his life and travel outside for health reasons or other things. And so, nobody is happy for this. It's a worrying situation. And at the end of the day, what we need to do, of course, is to enforce the protocols and still talk to Ghanaians. Because at some point, we owe ourselves this duty of care. Yes, look at these protocols that the government has put in place. No matter how good and how you want the government to enforce these protocols, at some point, we have to police it ourselves. Because it is not possible for the government to police each and every home and each and every individual with the enforcement of the laws. But what is possible is that the government indeed must do its part. And that is acknowledged. Political leadership on all both devices must enforce the laws. if you look at religious leadership, they must do that. And that one, we will acknowledge and call on the government and all other political leaders, maybe including the NDC, who started the COVID-19 response team or something. We acknowledge all these things. But at the end of the day, it all will still rest on the current leadership. And I acknowledge and I have accepted it that as a people, we need to do more. But then on the economics of it, you raise an argument about the fact that government will still have to borrow more to solve the implications that has come with the COVID. If you look at it, it's more of a bit of post-COVID response, especially most of these critical interventions that are coming. You have to separate that with the interventions or the reactions of the government during the peak period. Because now, whether borrowing have been made or whatever financial, how do you call it, commitments that have been made with respect to the COVID, is not going necessarily into the fight alone, but it's also going into the economic recovery, which was, how do you call it, the economic recovery in response of the devastating impact of the COVID.
Kwesi Kwati, I'll come to you. I'm told Dr. Anaba is on the line. Let's speak to him briefly about this new variant and the likely implications if the status quo in terms of how we carry ourselves as a people remains. Doc, good morning. Dr. Anaba, good morning. So I'll be prompted when we get him on the line. Okay, I think he's there. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, we are happy you are on the line. We want some level of appreciation of this new variant. We are told it's deadly. They call it Indian variant. We saw what happened in India over the last 3 weeks or so. Should I be worried at this time, or as the Ghana Health Service put it, the vaccines available, if we get all the rest, can still fight it, and therefore it should not be as alarming as the initial publication sought to do?
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to your cherished listeners. Let me emphasize that the warning that are being issued are welcoming and they are right to be issued. We need to be very, very cautious because this new variant, as we all know, has dealt with other countries just like the mentioned very badly. A lot of people lost their lives. Looking at our environment and our behavior towards protocols of COVID-19, it wouldn't be a palatable story if it is able to spread within our communities in the country. It would be very devastating. Currently, in the US, in the UK, this strain is said to be responsible for 60% of all the new cases that they are recording. In the US, it's about 10%. The sad thing about it is that it transmits 60% faster than the alpha, which means for every 10 people, the alpha can infest. This one will infest 18 to 20 people roughly. So we need to tread cautiously. It also has a characteristic that the basic symptoms we know about COVID-19, which is very common to all of us, like cough and the rest, it is said to be minimal in this very strain, but rather a sore throat and then not running nose, mild fever and headache, as what is pronounced. Cough is not that pronounced in this one, but not being able to smell is not very prominent in this type of virus. So it makes it a little bit trickish to look like a common flu, but it's not a common flu. The other issue is that there have been divergent views about whether if you are vaccinated or not, you'll be able to get yourself protected against it. Evidence we have from the UK suggests that if you have had any of the either AstraZeneca or Sputnik, you don't develop the very severe form of the
new variant,
which comes as a relief for those who have had the vaccine, the 2 doses, or even a single one. But it is not safe for anybody who hasn't gotten it at all. That is where our worry should be, because as we speak currently in Ghana, we don't have up to 1 million cases, and we are almost, per the statistics service, we are almost hitting a 30-something million. Meaning that we are just, we those who are vaccinated, we are just a drop of water in the mighty ocean. If this virus is able to seep into our communities, knowing how fast it can transmit and knowing how deadly it can be, as I said, it's not going to be good. So measures need to be taken to ensure that it doesn't disseminate in our communities, in our population.
Okay, so Dr. Anaba, let me ask 2 quick follow-up questions. Let's do this within 5 minutes. First,
okay.
We all know the protocols that must be observed. There is a school of thought that when we recorded the first few cases of COVID, had we closed our borders early, we may have been able to contain it faster. There's another school of thought about our own attitude. The president has severally cautioned us. They've spelled out the protocols. All of us are virtually not observing it. What should government do at this time to contain this disease when it's obvious we may not get our vaccines anytime soon?
Yes, that is the question. So now, if we want to close our borders, which would be ideal, and get the vaccine given to everybody before they open, that would have been ideal for all of us. But this is the case. I don't know how possible that is going to be. We all know that people don't like to respect COVID-19 protocols, either because of fatigue in obeying it or because of the attitude of our leaders who don't respect it and so trickles down to the people. That is another issue. What I can suggest is that we have to strengthen our borders to ensure that no one comes to our borders without taking the test before he lands into Ghana. And if you land into the country and they test you and you are positive, it doesn't really mean that you have the Delta variant. It means that you are positive of COVID-19, so your sample should quickly be taken to the Center for West African Center for Cellular Biology, whatever it's called, to sequence it, to see whether you are a Delta type or you are not a Delta type. If you are said to be a Delta type, you shouldn't be released into the community. You should be isolated completely and giving you proper protection and isolation not to spread it. That is what I think if we do, at least we will be able to continue with our normal economic activity whilst we isolate quickly all those who would come with the Delta positive in their samples. Locking the country down now is not going to be very, very helpful because of the hardship that we have. Okay, so Doc, before you go, this could be a normal rumor, but people say the pathogens thrive within cold environments. Ghana may have been safe because we endured the sunny weather. The rains have set in. Should it be cause for worry? No. It should be a cause for worry, whether it's in cold environment or hot environment. Though science is saying that it thrives better in cold environment, doesn't mean that it doesn't thrive. It's a topic. India, when it was attacking India, did you check the temperatures there? It was similar to that of Ghana. So that is not anything for us to disregard. We still have to be cautious about its spread, whether we have a hot weather or a cold weather. It is not a straight jacket that there's no scientific that we are in a hot temperate area. Right. It can't spread. Yeah. Okay, Doc, we are so grateful for the public education. Thank you very much. Right. So Kwesi Kwarteng is a member of the NPP's National Communication Team, and together we have just looked at COVID-19. Now let's move on to another topic, and this is very controversial. You remember last week, Africa Education Watch painted a very gloomy picture about the credibility of the certificates issued by the West African Examination Council. In that presentation, Kofi Asare, who is the executive director of Education Watch, they call it EduWatch or Africa Education Watch, was that there's an organized group which have various social media platforms, Telegram to WhatsApp to whatever, and together with invigilators and examiners, the police, officials of the GES, are all part of this organized syndication where they leak exam papers, answer the questions, send them to the students hours before they write their paper. And in that presentation, he said that it was widespread. It was beyond expectation.
and they used very serious words, just summarizing that it was damning as far as 2020 WASSCE is concerned. The WAEC has responded, saying first, EduWatch didn't consult them with their findings to hear their side of the story. They admit there were leakages, but they also say that they issue statements that some of those leakages were actually fake. They are saying that it is not true that they have withheld 60,000 of the results, and they have also said their side of the story with a caution that they may go to court and sue Africa Education Watch. I want us to listen again to the Public Affairs Director of the West African Examination Council, Agnes Tekujo. When we hear her, I will have a conversation with Kwesi Kwarteng on what he makes of this controversy.
Methodology used. Aspects of the methodology that EduWatch used raise issues of credibility and fairness. The Council is baffled at the fact that although it is a subject report, EduWatch did not engage the Council in order to get informed about what its processes and procedures are before coming to its conclusions, making its recommendations.
That's a brief of WAEC's response, but let me read a little. Now, WAEC is saying that aspects of the methodology Africa Education Watch used raises issues of credibility. It also talks about the identification of informants, withheld subjects and non-closure. The compelling reasons for non-disclosure in the research include the threat to the security of the informant, risk of human rights abuse, cultural and religious sensitivity, and of course, several other issues Africa Education Watch raised that WAEC is challenging. If you followed our conversation last week, you'd realize that Africa Education Watch showed videos and pictures suggesting that the concern is about the leakage happening between the GES and then the Ghana Police Service. And some of the vigilators who are known to Africa Education Watch were part of these platforms where the crime was allegedly committed. What do you make of WAEC's response?
All right, Eric, I think this issue did not just come out of a vacuum. If you recall, it's been in the media light for some time now, at least a month or 2 months. And this conversation has been back and forth. I have sometimes seen the Minister of Education, Dr. Yaw Educhum, respond to some of these issues. Joy FM also raised similar concerns. And I think you did an interview here with
Professor
Jane relative to this whole subject about whether or not the exams results have been compromised or not. From where I sit, I've not had the opportunity to go through the reports by the African Watch. But I mean, I'm just seeing the response from the WAEC. But I think from where I sit, I see rather a systematic approach and a scheme or syndicate to round down our education against us as a people. And for me, it's highly unpatriotic. And the question I always ask myself is that why are we so quick in running down state institutions and whatever gains that we've chalked as a people, to the extent that we can elect and attack the exams results? I mean, were we expecting the students to fail or not? Because it seems that people are just not happy that students came out with flying colors. Of course, I understand the politics of it and the fact that, per the kind of politics we do in this country, you will get both sections trying to score political points from it. And so you get the government, at the end of the day, trying to make political capital from the fact that students have passed. And of course, you also have a vested interest from the opposition who do every attempt to run down whatever gains the government has sought. But for me, I see it as more of an approach to dent down or to dent the image of our education that we're having. The reason is that, if you recall, in your own interview that you had there with the former education minister, Professor Jane Opoku-Agyemang, she failed to adduce evidence to the claim that the WAEC results were actually cooked. And so, logically, there are also other people, other school of thought who are also saying that this is in support of her failure to give evidence to the claim that she made. And I've heard all these conversations. But at the end of the day, the question that we have to ask ourselves is that, were you not also in this country where you had students, if you recall, insulting the president, going on demonstrations, attacking government, that certain questions that I expected did not come when they went into the exam hall? And so how do you juxtapose, or how do you balance these two claims or these two incidents that happen at the end of the day? I mean, you will have to do the logical analysis and see whether or not they are logically consistent with the claim that has been made. Indeed, if what these African Watch guys are saying is indeed true and something that we should take hook like and sinker, the question you ask yourself is that, why is it that also you have some number of students also failing for the same questions that results leaked, and there was a conspiracy from government and police officials and whatever to get students? But because we had also students
Are you suggesting that Africa Education Watch is a political institution?
No, I'm saying that
because you said you are not privy to what
I am saying that
I may call for the video, but let me read in summary what they have put out. And what they say they put out is the investigation they did, and they made reference to the people they
No, I get it.
Now,
it's clear.
Let me read aspects of what they said, just for the purpose of informing this conversation. Now, it says, the fact that all leaked questions onto social media platforms at the dawn before the exams, that's the very time the questions are transported from the WAEC depots, lent some credence to WAEC's position that questions leaked when the GES were in custody of the questions together with the police. Now, Africa Education Watch listed a page on Telegram called Hot Stage as the widely patronized source of leaked questions. Other pages on Facebook included WAEC Security Room and WAEC Strong Room, and said over 1,050,000 members were waiting to be fed with questions. And in the presentation, they showed video of some of those things. And it goes ahead that investigations confirmed that the Telegram page called Hot Stage to be one of the widely patronized sources of the leaked examination papers during the 2020 WASI. And the social media platform had 70,000 subscribers at the time of the WASI exams, and it has increased to 160 subscribers. And they released questions and answers at the dawn of the ensuing exams. Now, if Africa Education Watch puts out this information and says that the credibility of the certificates are questionable and the monopoly of WAEC should be broken to ensure competition and the integrity, how does politics come in?
Okay, so first of all, if indeed, government wants to influence the results, per all its powers and influences on WAEC, wouldn't you rather think that would have been more logically consistent for government to have influenced the results at the marking level rather than organizing 70,000 and 1 million people on a social media platform and give them questions? I mean, wouldn't you think that? Because I wrote WASI, and I have friends who also write WASI and brothers and sisters. The point is that, you see, there are some false websites and other. These are realities. These are objective realities that every student knows. When during these times we have some bad guys, some bad people who promises to give questions and other things, and so you have students organizing themselves in groups and other. It is even the more reason why at some point students came out to demonstrate and insult and attack people that questions that they expected.
Why should the posturing be like, if WAEC is failing in its responsibility to ensure that if there are indeed exam leakages, we ensure the credibility of the certificates are protected, than assuming that once you expose WAEC, you have exposed government?
I am saying because that first
Africa
of all,
Eric,
no, you are not also allowing me to answer, because at the end, the facts, you are repeating the facts.
Africa Education Watch said that on those platforms, they saw a list of known examiners and known invigilators. How can this be fake?
No, you see, I think WAEC responded to that in their press conference, that they admitted to the fact that, and again, you have to put it in the proper context, that list has not even been satisfied. It was the first draft of potential people that could be invigilating, and then the list got leaked. Nobody is saying that that is not a possibility. But separate that from the questions being leaked at the end of the day. Again, you have to even admit and come to the conclusion that that list was not the certified list. But I'm saying that which government, in its normal sense, will put about 100,000, 70,000 people, 1 million people that I'm going to give you questions. And I'm saying that it is a normal practice that we all see, that when students are about to write exams, they form these associations and these connections group, of course, with anticipation of getting something. And you have people promising fake websites, giving them questions. I mean, I remember our time, there were students that were making monetary contributions to people that they unseen and unknown faces. I mean, those are things that are there. And you know this, these are realities. That cannot be construed as saying WAEC as an entity. Giving again, there is one point that African Watch failed to. You said you made an investigation and used a methodology and had some informants. If indeed African Watch indeed are very honest and wishes the education system well, what would have been the best way to do? Probably to report them to the police, the informants there, or report them to WAEC for investigation. Up to now, they want to disclose the identity of those supposedly informants that I'm sitting here, I believe.
Why will an informant be arrested?
No,
an informant is only telling you
good. So
he or she is aware of.
Perfect.
And that informant says, I want some level of protection.
No, is that not the more reason why
shown pictures of these?
Is that not the more reason why you have to know? You see, if you just come to the public and the media and throw these things out without letting us know the people involved, how do we get to the root cause of these things? And now the point I want to arrive is basic, that you see this systematic attempt, and it didn't start today, from political leadership, from ministers that we expected more, from media, actually attacking the educational policy. And I'm saying
are they attacking WAEC and ensuring that WAEC does the right thing, or do you
no,
attacking
now,
education?
Why
are you drawing the link between an investigation about WAEC's exams to a program government is implementing?
As of now, the Professor Gina Nopoko-Agyemang has failed to adduce evidence to the claim that she made about WAEC leaking results.
Do you know what she said?
No, I listened to your full interview. No, you can tell me.
Because
no, you conducted.
You are drawing an inference from what she said.
No,
and
I am saying that. I am saying that.
Is based on what you heard. So that if you didn't hear her properly, then I can tell you what she said.
Eric, I am telling you on a fact that in all the whatever our minutes or our interview that you did with her, there was no point where she supported the claim of compromising the exams with evidence. And I'm saying that what African Watch is just doing that way for her.
Let me tell you what she said. Fair. What she said was about the quality of education and what we need to do by way of coming together as a people to sit down at a round table conference and have a discussion.
Fair. And she also said about WAEC. No, I mean, go to the street.
I'm giving
you
the information because it was a build-up.
Yes.
And I asked her, we've seen the free SHS implemented 4 years. We are entering the 5th year. Would it be appropriate at this time to see a review? Because people are calling for it. The government says we are on top. She said that's the right
time. I think you are just doing a merry-go-round. You are not speaking to the WAEC issue.
Then I asked the president says, look, you people are suggesting that the program is not doing well because the quality is bad and the children did well and so many had...
Are you now running away from her own issue that about the WAEC?
I'm sure all those who listen to the program...
So why did the minister have to come and respond? To respond to a vacuum?
Are you listening to what
I watched the minister...
I am saying that the follow-up question was the president says that so many of them had 8 A's or 7 A's. And she said, we all watched what happened in this country. We all saw the children complain. We all saw vigilators being beaten. We all saw what happened. If the children had 378 A's or so, and we assume that that suggests that the quality of education is better, we leave it to the judgment of the people. That was the exact word and what she said. I can ask them to play it back.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
So I will send it to them. I will ask them.
No, it's fair.
If the producers have it,
I want to find out.
Agyemang's statement on WAEC and the exam. We can play it.
No, we can play it.
So that we don't
digress and probably treat her unfairly. Right. But the question I ask is that if indeed she has not attacked the credibility of the WAEC results, what was the minister's issue in coming to respond to her? If you recall, The following evening, the minister went on Good Evening Ghana or something, Metro TV, and responded to the claims that had been made by the professor on the quality of the exams results and the fact that they were compromised. And I'm saying that if you have to see a complementarity in all these issues. These issues cannot just be a mere coincidence. The fact that you have Joy FM starting this agenda against the free SHS, and then all of a sudden you see the professor now diving into this issue, and you see also these guys without providing any substantial evidence. Because at the end, WAEC is today challenged. Indeed, this is the first question that I want to find out.
Let me speak to somebody who has an interest in education briefly. I'll come back to you. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you too?
Yeah, Daniel, we don't have much time, so I'll spend about 3-4 minutes with you. Briefly, Africa Education Watch seems to have an agenda against WAEC, and the summary of it all is that WAEC's monopoly must be broken. And there's the school of thought that its investigation did not treat WAEC fairly because WAEC did not respond. Your own take on it?
All right. Let me thank you and say a very good morning to your viewers. Indeed, we all know that there are issues with WAEC almost every time or anytime they conduct examination in this country. And so the findings of Kofi Asare and his team doesn't come to any of us as a surprise. However, if you ask me if the monopoly of WAEC should be broken, I would pick it from the angle that it is almost impossible to do that because, one, the people who can change or do something about WAEC are the policymakers, the politicians, those in charge, and all that. And these are people who are normally in bed with them. So for WAEC and the politicians, they normally agree with themselves and understand themselves. So if we call for a change, then it will be difficult for these policymakers to actually go and change them. That is one. Two, if you say monopoly, is that mean you wish that different examination bodies will be brought on board to also organize the WASI? If yes, how is that even possible? How are you going to practice that? Is it that when the child gets to SHS 3, he will be given the opportunity to choose which examination body he would want to write the examination with? Don't forget that the child is almost always interested in passing the exam. And so if you have 3 or 4 examination bodies and you give the child the opportunity to pick one out of the many, then the child is likely to pick the one he is likely to pass with them. And so that will also not be a very effective means of breaking the monopoly of WAEC. This is my suggestion. Okay. I feel that we should decentralize the national character that this WASI has, in the sense that instead of, so now we know English language, the whole Ghana, everybody, every student, SHS 3 student is writing English language, the same question, the same paper. Mathematics, the whole Ghana, everybody. Literature, the whole Ghana, those doing electives. Why don't we regionalize it so that Central region will be writing their English and that paper will be different from Greater Accra or Ashanti region?
No, but you know that if you want to look at assessment and having an equal platform for proper appreciation of what the children understand, they must write the same paper and you use it to assess everybody. You can't give them different questions and give them the same certificates. That is flawed.
No, you don't need to give them the same question. You need to give all of them a standardized question. So when you are assessing students, it's not really about particular questions that you should give them. Don't forget that last year, let's say 2020, it was WASI. This year, we will write WASI. The questions are different, but all of them will be given the same certificates. All those who completed last year and those who are completing this year will be given the same certificates. So the point is that we are to standardize the questions for everybody. And standardization can happen with 5 different questions. So every region will have a standardized WASI set of questions to write. When that happens, even if there's a leakage, the leakage will not be national. So probably central region paper will leak, and that will remain with central region. Let me give you one reality for which reason we are not able to
we don't have much time, so if you can summarize it, sir.
All right, just one reason. WAEC finds it difficult to cancel papers even when a poll comes out, because when they cancel, for example, mathematics, look at the number of papers you have to reprint, look at the cost, look at
but you know that it's on record that WAEC has cancelled papers sometimes once, sometimes twice in one exam year. So this analogy that WAEC is trying to save cost and would not want to print again and compromise leaked questions is a bit funny to many people who will listen to you.
But trust me, if we are to really go into details, I tell you that almost every year there is a paper that should have been cancelled. WAEC cancels occasionally, especially when the paper is so much out that they can't do anything about it. That's when they come in to cancel and all that. But if we are really to be very efficient and effective in conducting this examination, trust me, almost every year there would be one or two papers to be cancelled. But they are not doing it. Why are they not doing it? And I believe that the frequency of cancellation is not really happening, even though the frequency of irregularities are continuously happening. And they are not able to do that because of all these factors. So for me, let us regionalize the papers. All regions will write standardized papers.
All right, thank you. Is it Daniel Fenyi? I'm so grateful for your contribution.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Kwesi, let's wrap up. What do you suggest should be the way forward?
The way forward is that when it is not broken, you don't fix it. And again, you have to put it in a proper context. The context is within the conversation that we are having. As at now, no result was leaked. And again, the impression that is being bundled around as though WAEC only organizes exams for only students from Ghana is also unfactual. Because you are looking at, the West African community that engages in this exam. So I do not get this whole analogy as though WAEC treats Ghana differently, and when it comes to Nigeria, they treat them in a different way. Of course, I do admit that, as human as they are and part of their processes, you get these irregularities. And of course, there have been situations where exams questions has leaked, and WAEC has taken, some pragmatic measures, some with withholding results, some cancellation and other things. But at the end, you do not just, pass comments and speculate in a vacuum without providing evidence to it. And then if you are confronted with hardcore evidence to the claim that you are making, you make reference to a group of people who are on Facebook are waiting for some questions to be given to them, or a group about millions of students on Telegram. Indeed, even if you want to look at this from this perspective, how many students wrote the exams, if indeed they are from Ghana? And then you are looking at a Telegram page of about almost 1 million people. And so this clearly shows that cannot even be only Ghanaians. So why is it that in only other countries, you are not saying that WAEC did not do its work well, but when it comes to Ghana, then WAEC probably compromised the results. And so you check the logical consistency of some of these arguments that has been advanced, and you see that it is not possible reasonably that if I want to compromise results, I'll have to go and form 70,000 page group and then get the results or get questions from there. Clearly, it's not an because at the end, if you post this on that social media page, wouldn't ordinary Ghanaians and the public say it? But I'm saying that we should be slow in destroying our educational system for political expediency. If you question this, what you are doing is that you are indirectly telling the hardworking teachers that they failed in their work. You are indirectly telling those courageous students who, in the midst of COVID, defied all odds to still go and write their exams, that they have, they compromise on every sacrifice that they made at that time. And at the end, you are also being highly unpatriotic because you are telling the international organizations and other countries and schools that when it comes to students coming from Ghana, their results are not credible. And so don't give them admissions and do not take them serious. And if you do this, the consequence does not affect the daughter of the MPP youth organizer alone, but it also affects all angles.
Why are we looking at a concern about an examining body and allegations of mass leakages based on findings by an institution that has been in the industry for more than 20 years? Why are we looking at it with a political lens rather than looking at the facts in there and what we can all do to ensure the right things are done?
Does not support the claim that has been made. Because if you look at it, you have students that you claim had questions. You are not saying that those questions could not have been given to them. It's possible from wherever angle, from unscrupulous people or other things. But then again, you have to juxtapose those questions they had with the same students entering the exams hall and then coming out to demonstrate that they have been deceived. So how do you marry these two? The fact that I'm giving a question, I'm not saying that those questions couldn't have been leaked, but I'm saying that I have a question, I enter into the exams hall, then I now come out to demonstrate that those questions that I have did not come or did not exist or they are fake questions. How do you juxtapose that with the results that they had? Indeed, if they had the question, how would they have come out to demonstrate? And I'm saying that it is possible, yes, at some point what the education think tank may be saying is true, that, well, they had access to some questions. But then we will have to interrogate and raise questions on the credibility of such questions, whether or not they are coming from WAEC, whether or not they are credible questions, whether or not they are the same questions that actually appeared during their examination hours. And so you check it and then juxtapose it with the fact that they came out to even demonstrate against the education system, against government. You saw videos where children were insulting the president that, I mean, they were expecting questions and they didn't come. What it meant was that somebody had deceived them that, well, the president is going to help you. And it wasn't true. And so you have to situate every issue based on the proper context. Other than that, you miss it. It does not necessarily negate the fact that political elements like the professor you interviewed have taken advantage of it to score political points. And I'm saying that you cannot also, because, I mean, if you listen to your guy that you interviewed, he also spoke about the fact that politicians have made policies and other things. So the political element in it. Then I even had a question for him. Since when did he realize that politicians or political parties are now in bed with the WAEC? I mean, you see, so you see the chronology of events, people, I mean, somebody that you interviewed, you see how the media are responding to these things. You cannot also take out the fact that there are elements in or politically exposed individuals that want to have interest in some of these things. And of course, you look at the MPP, our interest is to make a case that indeed we've brought a policy that has yielded results. And naturally, you expect the NDC to also take the opposing side. And at the end of the day, also say that, well, on the face of the results, it's true, we cannot deny. But let's make a case that the results are compromised. And then we'll be fine.
That is where I am always repeating the question that Africa Education Watch, how can it be a political entity working for NDC?
No, I am saying that African Education Watch has failed to adduce evidence to the claims that they are making. And at the end of the day, they are not the only stakeholders in education. Okay. You have to look at all other stakeholders and then marry.
Let me do a few text messages. Please, the NPP man should accept the truth that our educational system in Ghana is very bad per the NPP implementation policies. He should stop the blame game and listen to what the professor said. From James in Kumasi. This text message says, good morning, Mr. Eric Kamala from Kumasi. Is WAEC saying that the report on leakages, cheating, misleading? They are not serious. I have invigilated before. Everything in the report is true. Even supervisors in the centers also collect money from schools. It is entering our universities. The issue is the biggest problem at the education center. Eric, it is paining me because education covers a lot. They can contact me if they don't have information. They have info, Future Ghana. Is the guys, okay, that's an insult. Some are disagreeing with you. This text message is from Same Boache Asamankese. It says, we remembered very well when the former chairman of the late Kwabena J, in his angry comment saying that there is so many ways of killing a cat, while there was ruling going on and they were against it. And the same party current chairman has also made some comments indicating that making the government unpopular, so we shouldn't be surprised when they mean, we shouldn't be surprised, they mean what they say. And it goes on. And it says, my greetings to Chairman Makiba, Fred Opare, Ansa, David Pra, and so on. A.U. Farouk in Tamale North sent this message. It says, good morning to you all. Yes, under the MPP Nanado's administration, no policy will be beneficiary to the ordinary poor Ghanaian. The hardship under the administration is worrisome and disheartening. Fix the country with hashtag. Inshraba Anelka in Ashaman says the press conference by the NDC has fallen flat. It's as Edun Ketia telling the world that Dr. Dominic Ayeni is above the law. I don't think far. The law must work in this country. Greetings to Alaji Labaran Yakubu. This text message says, Dear Nana Bena, please ask the host of the statistics department when we are there, whether there are areas in the questionnaire referring to as non-Ghanaians and if non-Ghanaians will be counted. This one says, everything is certainly not working under Nana Akufo-Addo, but the culture of silence has been institutionalized and corruption is the order of the day. And this one is from Mustafa in Lower Manya Krobo. I'll do some 3 more messages. This one says, Honorable Nana Akufo-Addo has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that he will deliver Ghanaians with selfless and competent leadership by all standards. Greetings to Alaji Baumia. This one from Koresko Zakaria says, Nana Akufo-Addo has destroyed Ghana and there is no future in MPP. They have nothing for Ghana. They are only limited to corruption and lies. The message is too long, so I'll stop somewhere. Tomia from Mankraso said, Nana Akufo-Addo has shown example of his belief in and love for nepotism, corruption, selflessness, filling the juiciest positions with government, with his family, blah, blah, blah. And he goes on, fix the country now, hashtag ended it. Abdul Basit Zongo Pioneer, congratulations to Honorable Mustafa Hamid, the new CEO of NPA. May Allah bless you the more. The measures put in place by government to fight and save Ghanaians from COVID is the best, and all deals to procure vaccines will go on, and it goes on and on with greetings to a number of people. I'm running through the text messages. This one says, hi, what is happening in this country under Nana Akufo-Addo? Why is that the NPP members are found to be committing crime like PDS scandal, blah, 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 blah. It's quite long, the accusations. I can't justify, so I won't read all. So this $170 million Ghana will be paying as judgment debt is because the AG slept on the case. And how is government going to explain this fiasco? Is it going to keep quiet and pretend it did nothing and nothing happened? Is the AG going to keep his job or will be fired? It comes with questions. Ablade Nefiekuma Zongo sent this. Jomoro MP's issue court case. I think the accusers should provide evidence and not the Jomoro MP as it happened in the Supreme Court. Last one, Bukaila Jonas Adia said, Ghana's biggest problem is the NDC. They paint a gloomy picture to the outside world as if everything is lost. And they turn around and pretend as if they love Ghana. So those are the text messages, Kwesi. Time is up. I would have said, say hi to somebody before we wrap up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean,
okay. So Kwesi Kwarteng is a member of the NPP's national communications team. Today we spent time on 2 major topics, our educational system and of course COVID. I believe you enjoyed it. We'll try to read as many of the text messages. See you again tomorrow for another edition of Morning Update. Thank you for your time.